And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is August 6th, Wednesday, 2025. And I really like hot tamales. You ever have hot tamales? They're like red hots. My wife bought for my son who's in town because he loves them, and I stole a few. Just letting you know. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, before I do the introductions, in the recent past on this show of your handsome and buffed host, we have taken pains to explain to you how concentrated the market is. That is specifically what we have been saying to you. How the few are really making up a huge portion of the big indices, not minor, but the S&P and the NASDAQ 100. We have a few things to talk about today. We'll get to it in a minute. But first, this is Investor's Edge. It is serious talk on everything that affects you. We will do markets, the economy, your job, your industry. Anything and everything that comes to mind. The Doge that went by the wayside. The massive big, beautiful bill that's too big and too much debt and deficits, but great on the tax cuts and the depreciation type things on small business and things like that. Good, bad. And I must tell you, late breaking news. President Trump may have a meeting with that slobbering piece of crap running Russia, that murderer Vladimir Putin, very quickly. And I've got to tell you, if he's able to convince Putin to stop what he's been doing for a few years now, Donald Trump will get the Gary K. Peace Prize. That would be a major wow. Of course, the media will portray it as Putin doing the heavy lifting, because as you know, they suck. But that's for another day. But that is some late breaking news. Some other late breaking news is Tim Cook of Apple is going to the White House today. I believe they're going to have this meeting at 4:30. Tim Cook is promised to spend $500 billion. This was told us about 6-8 weeks ago. And as I said to you that day, that's BS. That's already what they were going to spend no matter what going forward over a long period of time. Well, he's announcing today another $100 billion, which is never going to be spent, but he's smart because he's going to make the president happy and make the president look good. He knows that the president will be gone in 3.5 years and he won't have to spend it. And guess what he's got in return? More exemptions on tariffs. As we've told you, last quarter, Apple paid $800 million in tax. This quarter, they announced it was going to be $1.1 billion. The president's now going to exempt it. I'm going to say something, and it's actually going to be a compliment, though believe me, it's not going to sound like a compliment. The president would make the Gambinos and the Gottis proud on the shakedowns he is pulling off on companies like Apple to announce another $100 billion, and I'll give you exemptions. I hate this operation. I hate this process. I don't think any president should be able to this, that, and the other thing companies on tariffs if they do something good versus something not good. I think that's a bunch of bullcrap, but I've got to hand it to the President of the United States on the shaking down of these companies. And it is a shakedown, but I gather it is a legal shakedown, right? It's a legal shakedown. Why? Because he's doing it. And nobody's saying anything the opposite. So good on him, I think. Anyway, amazingly today, Apple was up $10. At one time, $10.36. It's down a little bit in the aftermarket. At one time today, it was up 12 and change. Just that $10. You ready for this? Apple increased by about $150 billion market cap. That's like, that $150 billion is more than like 400, at least 400 S&P 500 stocks. And guess what that does for the NASDAQ 100? Oh, you damn straight. It was a NASDAQ 100 day today. And that's where we're going to explain the concentration. What have we told you here in recent days? Well, I came up with the new numbers as of yesterday. 7 stocks make up 64.32% of the NASDAQ 100. What stocks are those? NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Broadcom, and Google, with Tesla and Netflix just below. And right after that is Costco and Palantir. There's your 12. We'll get to the point in a minute. Those same 7 stocks, 33.96% of the S&P, which is more wild than the NASDAQ 100 because, well, almost equal. Think about this. 493 stocks in the S&P 500 are 64% of the index, but 7 are 34? That's insane. And I went through all 500 earlier today. By the way, you can find that at slickcharts.com. There's a ton. There's about 100 of them. If you add the bottom 100 up, it would be like 7%. The whole 100. Maybe not even. So concentration. So let me read off to you today. Are you ready? Apple up $10.36. Apple is number 3 in the S&P and number 3 in the NASDAQ 100. Amazon, which has been very weak off earnings but got defended today, up $8.56 today, 4%. Amazon is number 4 in the S&P and the NASDAQ 100. It's 7.62% of the NASDAQ 100. Oh, I'm not done. Tesla has been very weak. Got defended at the big $300 mark, up 11 and change today, 3.6%. Tesla is number 9 on the NASDAQ 100 at 3.35% and number 10 on the S&P 500. But I'm not done. Netflix, been weak. Sold off. Broke the 50-day. On earnings, was up $30 today after being down 25 yesterday. Netflix is number 10 on the NASDAQ 100 at 1.63%, number 17 on the S&P 500. Big names. Costco, it's been dead. And what have we been saying to you about Costco? Well, we think the issue is nothing's wrong with the company, but it's trading at over 60 times earnings. And they're so big, they're only growing those earnings. Let me give you the numbers the last 4 quarters. 6, 10, 8, 13. 60 times earnings, too expensive. So the stock's been dead, but that was up $25 today. Costco is number 11 on the NASDAQ 100, 19 on the S&P. You had a wake-up call on some major league mega cap names. Booking Holdings up $61 now. That's a $5,500 stock. And some of the strong names had a good day today, but I don't want to talk the strong. I want to talk the comatose and what happened with the market. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. So, with those moves today, the NASDAQ 100 was up 296 juicy points. The QQQ today was up 1.25%. You say 1.25%, no big deal, but it was up 1.25%. And what's the issue? With the NASDAQ 100 up 296, the NASDAQ up 252. Well, the issue is advanced declines were negative. New highs versus new lows, about the same. The Russell 2000 and the mid-cap 400, only 2,400 stocks, were down today. What happened? Today was one of the most concentrated days on the upside I have seen in a very long time, where the market took the cue, and it's almost like the institutions have this one button that, when pushed, moves all the mega caps one way or the other, and that's what happened today. Now, to take the good side, well, they're an influence on the big indices, so the big indices will stay in good stead, will hang. On the bad side, well, what have we always told you about things getting too narrow and concentrated? You know what we've told you. That said, I am not seeing the big breakdown in the rest of the market that would cause real trouble. Though, I will say to you, and we've been saying to you, fewer and fewer stocks are participating. More and more are going by the wayside. And today, in particular, not aftermarket, but today, a ton of blow-ups. A ton of blow-ups from earnings reports, starting with AMD, though I see that as less a blow-up but being just very extended. But man, oh man, remember the super micro? Everybody's been touting blow-up. Upstart, buy now, pay later, blow-up. And there was just a ton of blow-ups. So just letting you know, underneath the surface, crappy versus the bigs. Not versus the bigs, just not good, and it'll be something to watch. But a very, very good day for the narrow few, as well as some recent good reaction to earnings. Reddit, Meta, Palantir, GE Vernova, Broadcom, some of the AI names. Pretty darn good. And there were some things that acted well today off of earnings, not to take away from those, but we're just letting you know one of the most concentrated move days we have seen in a long while, if not the biggest. Stunning. If you own the Mag 7 today, as they are called, this is a pretty darn good. They were up 1.96 today. There's actually an ETF for them. MAGS. And that's the story of the day. The Dow was only up 81. And I will tell you, between Apple and Amazon that are in the Dow, Let's see, 18, 61, 16, 48, 108. That was about 115 Dow points. Throwing McDonald's was up 9. McDonald's up 9. Wow. On a whopping 7% earnings growth and 5% revenue growth, which doesn't impress me too much. But, nevertheless, good reaction. Do you know I haven't been in McDonald's in, I'm going to say, 20 years? Do you know in college I lived on Chicken McNuggets? I lived on Chicken McNuggets. But I haven't been in McDonald's in at least 20 years. I've never been a fan of the burgers. Love the fries. But never a fan of the burgers. But them Chicken McNuggets, I used to eat them by the dozen in college. I may have to go visit it. Now, Burger King's got the better burgers, if you ask me. And the really crisp onion rings. But I must say, and I don't do fast food often, the Cow. Man, is that good. And you know, when I'm ever out west, that In-N-Out burger, they got game. When I was in Vegas, we went to the In-N-Out that's right on the strip. It was 100 people deep. 100 people deep, and I mean that. That's how good it was. Anyhow, Dow was only up 81. Semiconductors were down. Small and mid caps were down. You know what was impressive? The gold miners again. We told you they broke out. You know what was impressive? Gold was down today. Gold miners were up more than 1%. That looked pretty darn good. But I just want to let you know again, dang narrow. Narrower. And that just means fewer and fewer in what we define as uptrends and more reverting the other way. And that's a little bit of today's story, ladies and gentlemen. In a nutshell, I will tell you better. Walmart and the Dow looks like it's turning up and wanting to break out. I got to tell you, AutoZone, O'Reilly Automotive, real good action, both into new high ground off of no growth. AutoZone minus 5% sales growth, minus 4% earnings. O'Reilly only 6% sales growth, but both into new high ground. And by the way, ever been to one? I've only been into an AutoZone a couple of times. It's fantastic. They got everything there. I don't think I've been in O'Reilly, but I gather it's somewhat the same, right? Auto parts. And considered somewhat on the defensive side. Why? Because in the economy's roughed up, you basically may not buy cars. You may keep cars a little bit longer. So you need auto parts. Anyway, both stocks, pretty good shape. And AutoZone, it's tough to buy. It's a $4,000 stock. I'm not a big believer in splits, but I think when you get to $4,000, you should split 2 for 1 or 4 for 1. I didn't believe in the Chipotle 50 for 1, and we warned you that that's going to be the high of the stock, and it was. Big splits, always bad. Hey, up next, this, that, and the other thing, and whatever else. We got a bunch of news also. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So, write these symbols down. ALAB. And by the way, you know what pisses me off sometimes? We were watching this ALAB. It's called Astera Labs. Semiconductor, all that. It was recovering, and for 10 weeks traded basically between 90 and 100. And we're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting for it to break above 100. And by the way, about 102 was exact. And I will tell you that on a Friday closed at about 101.5. But then on Monday opens up at 110. And I was so PO'd because we're looking at the thing, okay, if it breaks through 101, 102, we're jumping. They open it at 110. Oh, we're not going to touch this thing at 110 now. It's already up 8%. Forget it. Well, it closed at 140 and opened up. It was up $38 today on big numbers. Put down ALAB is what we call a big volume gap to the upside to a new high. Next, Arista Networks. By the way, we are not advocating buying, selling, shorting, or covering. We have not bought them as of yet, but they go on our big, gigantic, whatever list of big gap reactions to the upside. Arista Networks, ANET is another one. Big volume, earnings up 38, revenues up 30. Gap to the new high, yearly high, by the way. Oh, and by the way, ALAB earnings up 238%, revenues up 150. And the third one that's sticking out for me today, Shopify. Volume 400% better than normal and breaks out on a big gap out of a, I don't know, let's call it about 6-7 month trading range. Shopify. Earnings up 35, revenues up 31. Again, we are not telling you to buy, sell, short, or cover. We're letting you know. We're reporting the news. Big gaps to the upside off of strong earnings reports that beat the estimates, but also what we call pretty darn good growth. You had one in Palantir in the last day, though it's got a $400 billion market cap with $3 billion in sales, which has me saying, boy, the next bear market, that sucker's going to be a great short. But not right now. It probably goes higher. What else? You had a good reaction in GE Vernova, GEV. And by the way, today, McDonald's gapped up. How about Wolverine Worldwide? That gapped up. And there are a few others that you probably have never even heard of. I hate even saying this. The New York Times had a big volume move to new highs today on earnings. People love lies because they're a bunch of lying sacks at the New York Times. But hey, great move today in the stock. I will not ever poo-poo that, ladies and gentlemen. Interest rates popped up a little bit today. No biggie. Oil prices down a stick. That's fine. We like seeing that. Oil stocks, not a good day. Drug stocks, very bad. The president's... And again, this is the part of the president. Well, what are you talking about? I may put a 250% tariff on pharmaceuticals. Oh, yeah, sure. So that means whatever you're paying now, you're paying $10 for a bottle of pill will be $25. Paying $50. Anyway, I don't want to use the word childish, but I wish he'd clam it up. We know now he's full of crap when it comes to the big number tariffs. He's paused all of them. He's exempted a ton of stuff through them. He did one on Brazil, 50%. Brazil, 50%. And exempted the most important products coming from Brazil. Anyway, again, concentrated as all heck. But I got to tell you, I've made good money in narrow markets, and you know what? The money's flowing into the biggest, most liquid mega caps. I'm fine with that. There have been moments in time where I remember right before COVID, I think I had 5 stocks. They were all the mega caps, and all they were doing was drifting higher. It was a blast. And at the same day they all started breaking down, I got out, not knowing what was going to happen from COVID, and they all crashed afterwards. Yeah, whatever. Speaking of that, did you hear Robert F. Kennedy is defunding vaccine companies? So he's another guy who's just full of crap. Remember what we told you? He's lied out his arse. For years, vaccines bad, vaccines bad, vaccines bad, vaccines bad. Then he comes in, does the testimony and all that stuff. No, I'm cool with the vaccine. Now he's defunding vaccine research. He's an ass clown. Got to get rid of him. He should be fired tomorrow. They're painting this picture of vaccines being bad, and I got to tell you, vaccines have done a wonderful job on so many illnesses throughout the years. And no way, shape, or form am I saying they're perfect. But this guy's an ass. He should be out. I wouldn't have hired him. What can I tell you? By the way, Trump intends to meet with Putin and Zelensky. I don't know at the same time. At the same time, that would be wow. Get the steel cage. Dang. And if I was Trump, I'd sit down with Putin and just do this. So, a ton of your soldiers are dead. What have you gotten for it? And how many more do you want dead and you get nothing for it? What can we do today that you all save face and get out of this? And look good at the same time. And I'll do everything to make you look good. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And of course he'd go tell me to F myself, right? Because he's a communist dictator murderer. He don't care, right? He ain't on the front lines. If he was on the front lines, he'd care. Anyway, we'll see how that plays out. Yippee-yay-yay. In other news, there was some 5 people shot on a military base today. Man, I gotta tell you, I just hate seeing it. There's some. Ride the subway in New York City, and what you will find, there's just a lot of people out there that have fallen through the cracks, and you never know what wire gets touched off, not giving them any excuses, you know that. And then they do something. And there's nobody to blame. Of course people fall through the cracks. Anyway, another shooting. We'll find out what it is about. And I hate reporting on it, but it is a fact of life. Yesterday, we reported to you that Elizabeth Warren was backing the communist who's going to run New York City. We got a lot of email on that. There was not one that disagreed with me. So it looks like none of you are communists out there. Good to see. Just letting you know. Unfortunately, he's going to win. And by the way, to his credit, unlike other Democrats, that party that lies about who they are and then they get into their position and goes back to exactly who they are, he's telling you who he is. He's telling you he's a communist. Take it or leave it. Not kidding. Up next, this, that, and the other thing, or whatever else. This is the one only Investor's Edge. Da-da-da. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Let's see what else I saw today. Well, as the yields went up, they hit the housing and housing related today. That's number one. Number two, they beat the heck out of medical again today. We have told you under no uncertain terms, and that doesn't mean there aren't a few that are strong, but as a whole, to avoid medical. And we have said to you that includes drugs, pharmaceuticals, managed care, big time, the medical research and medical products companies, and again, not all, the big biotech, which means most. I think we even came out and said avoid where you get your blood, like LabCorp and Quest, but LabCorp had a nice reaction to earnings and then it died. We think the thought process of government payments is doing it. That there is no way going forward, the payments they have been getting, these companies through government, are going to be the same. And there is going to be something akin to some margin squeeze. And as we have told you, whenever margin squeeze is perceived, usually the stocks no go. So nothing has changed there. This has been going on for a while. You have had crashes, and I'm being nice. You've had crashes in the managed care HMO stocks off of the United Health and all that crap. I would say hospitals also pretty much in bad shape. I would avoid those too. And we gave you the best example of the problem with the hospitals that I think is going to be addressed. I don't know, it was about 15 months ago. I went in. I think I got there at 7 p.m., went to the emergency room, and I had a little episode. And I was in the emergency room for about 15 minutes. They put me in another room, spoke to somebody, felt better. 6-7 hours later, they let me go. I got a $26,000 bill. And then it came back out of that $26,000, I owed $4,000. And I don't mind paying my bills, but then I looked on the bill that it said $5,000 for outpatient. Huh? I called up and I said I wasn't an outpatient. Oh, okay. They give me a new bill with $5,000 for observation instead of outpatient, so they didn't deduct it. I called back. I go, what is this crap? Also on that bill was $6,000 for emergency room. I said, same time, $6,000 for emergency room. I was there for like 8 minutes. Oh yeah, but... And then other sundry things, which I don't need to get into, but $26,000 for like 7 hours. And I spoke to my insurance company, I'm not going to say who, and I'm like, they're screwing you. And, they came back and said to me, well, we're not paying. It's already down to this much. I go, but why would I pay them a dime when this is a lie? And what my insurance said? Well, that'll be your choice. I go, do you even care? Do you even talk to them? Do you even say to them how badly they're screwing the patient? And my insurance company said, well... That was the answer. Well, so I think hospitals will be a big look. And by the way, I can go back to 1985 when my wife contracted ulcerative colitis and almost died. And she was in the hospital. We got this bill, and there were $26 for Tylenols. No. No. That's not a lie. We saw $26 for Tylenols. Oh, 2 of them. And they told us, this was the excuse, it's cost sharing. That was back in 85. So we think there's a chance hospitals, and I gather the whole healthcare industry can't wait till Trump is out of office and are praying that the other side gets in. That's what I'm thinking. Because the other side don't care about you. They just care about controlling you. Anyway, so there's your healthcare thought process. And until the action changes in the group, we're staying away from all of them. And again, there's some that are on the strong side. We saw some good reaction to earnings, but we're a big believer in sector analysis. You really need to have a group strong to be in stocks in that group. And that's why when we say to you, well, the semiconductors, a lot of them are really weak, but all the AIs, we actually consider artificial intelligence semiconductors to be their own little fiefdom at this point in time. Because I got to tell you, Analog Devices and Texas Instruments and others look like crap. So just letting you know how we tend to look at things. It's a lot of observation. It's a lot of hard work, but the whole goal is to be able to recognize uptrends and downtrends, bull markets and bear markets, bullish phases and bearish phases, and stay the hell out of the way when big trouble arrives. And what we are designating right now is there was a move afoot into the comatose mega caps today. And we're wondering if that's meaningful, not sure. But we're also doing right now, this is the biggest weekend number for earnings. We're just making the list. We're just making the list of all the great reactions, looking at the numbers and saying, okay, fits the bill. And we're done. You all have a great evening. Hope we're helping. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Make sure you hug your children. Make sure you hug your family. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Always appreciate you listening. Good night, all. Bye-bye.